These are this afternoon's top stories. Prime Minister Harris calls for end to HIV/AIDS by 2030. Antigua forges closer links with South Africa. And Putin says he can work with Obama despite trading barbs. Good afternoon and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Tuesday, September 29th, 2015. I am JD Keynes. In national news, we in the Caribbean wholeheartedly support the global strategy proposed by UNAIDS to achieve the bold aspirational goals of ending HIV/AIDS, which aligns with the global health targets in the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals approved by the UN. Those were the words of St. Kitts and Nevis' Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, when he addressed a UNAIDS symposium at the United Nations headquarters in New York on Sunday. Prime Minister Harris called on Caribbean leaders to pursue ending the HIV/AIDS epidemic by 2030, stating that, quote, our region of mainly small island developing states, or ZIZ, with a combined population ranging from 15 to 20 million, has identified as a matter of expediency mechanisms for resources to achieve positive national results. End quote. Dr. Harris noted that 3 functional organizations that cooperated with the Caribbean and contributed to its economic viability with regards to regional integration. The organizations, he said, were established with the support of Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, as well as the World Health Organization, WHO, in 2013. They are the Caribbean Cooperation in Health, the Caribbean Partnership Against HIV/AIDS PANCAP, and the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA. Meantime, Prime Minister Harris, who is leading the St. Kitts and Nevis delegation to the 70th General Assembly meetings of the United Nations, took time out to update nationals on developments taking place in the Federation. He greeted hundreds of nationals at 2 meetings, the first in the Bronx and the second in Manhattan, New York, on Sunday, September 27th. In bringing greetings, Dr. Harris thanked all for participating and supporting the celebration of the 32nd anniversary of the Federation's independence, stating that the chosen theme, United in Building a Stronger Nation, was an indication of where the government wants to take the country so that St. Kitts and Nevis can become the best small nation in the world. He thanked those present for their support in bringing about a change in the political direction in the Federation and stated that the persons in the diaspora played a significant role in bringing about the success of Team Unity in the February 2015 general elections. The Prime Minister encouraged nationals to continue to support the new Team Unity government and to stay in touch with developments in the Federation. The Honorable Prime Minister told the citizens present that in dealing with all the challenges, he refuses to lead a government that is transactional, but is ensuring that the new administration is transformational, promising a fair share for all Kittitians and Nevisians, both at home and in the diaspora. As Breast Cancer Awareness Month draws near, the CIBC First Caribbean International Bank is putting the final touches on its plans to host the 4th annual CIBC First Caribbean Walk for the Cure, which is an exercise geared at raising funds to assist cancer patients in St. Kitts and Nevis. On Monday, the bank's loan specialist, Kai Williams, stopped by our studio to promote the event.
Yes, our parent company, CIBC, they actually have run for the cure, and this event is going to be timed along with theirs on the 4th of October across the 17 territories. Everybody's going to have a walk for the cure.
Williams also revealed the route for Sunday's walk for the cure.
Registration open from 5:15 to about 5:30, and then we have warm-up from 5:30 to 5:45, where then we're going to leave. Start the walk, which is going to go from our parking lot up onto the Beffront, onto the Bird Rock Road, and then over to Frigate Bay in front of Buddies.
The organizers want a diverse group of participants, as according to Williams, they are not raising funds only to assist breast cancer patients, but all cancer patients in general.
And it's not just breast cancer, it's all types of cancer, so anybody can walk. Because this year we are assisting the Rotary Club of St. Kitts, and their club support persons with prostate cancer, along with the 2 other cancer groups that we have, Reach for Recovery and the breast cancer, the St. Kitts Nevis Breast Cancer Assistance Fund.
That was loan specialist at the CIBC First Caribbean International Bank, Kai Williams. The Sugar Workers Restoration Fund Secretariat has advised that the application process for the gratuitous payment to former sugar industry workers is closed. In a release just in, the Secretariat, through the government's information arm, the Syndicates and Nevis Information Service, advised that only qualified persons who made applications within the stipulated time, that is prior to July 17, 2015, are eligible for the gratuitous payment. Qualified persons who applied within the specified time and have queries are asked to report to the queries desk at the SWRF Secretariat at the Clico Building on South Independence Square Street, Basseterre, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Monday to Friday. For further information, persons are asked to call 467-1914, 1915, or 1916. And now to news on the regional scene. Antigua and Barbuda has pledged to establish closer cooperation with South Africa. In a statement released on the weekend, Prime Minister Gaston Brown said he intends to advance talks with South Africa in the areas of manufacturing and tourism, among other areas.
Prime Minister Brown and President Zuma discussed the long history of cooperation between Antigua and Barbuda and South Africa, dating back to the anti-apartheid era in South Africa. Ambassador to the United States for Antigua and Barbuda, Sir Ronald Sanders, who was present during the discussions, presented President Zuma with documents detailing Antigua and Barbuda's assistance to the African National Congress, ANC, during the apartheid era. During that time, Antigua and Barbuda issued passports to ANC officials, allowing them to travel outside of South Africa. President Zuma was visibly affected when he examined the documents, taking him back to his days as a young freedom fighter alongside former President Nelson Mandela. The documents included photos which President Zuma identified as being him and recalled the partnership between Antigua and Barbuda and the ANC when other countries had refused to grant them entry. President Zuma remarked to Prime Minister Brown that South Africa will remain a close friend of Antigua and Barbuda, and it is his government's intention to forge stronger ties and advance various levels of cooperation. Prime Minister Brown said that he intends to advance talks with South Africa in the areas of manufacturing and tourism, among others. Prime Minister Brown also used the opportunity to introduce Sir Ronald Sanders as his country's nominee for the post of Secretary General of Commonwealth when heads meet in Malta in November of this year. On Friday, Prime Minister Brown listened to an address to the United Nations by His Holiness Pope Francis and addressed the opening of the post-2015 summit. On Saturday, he held bilateral meetings with Prime Minister of Malta, Joseph Muscat, and attended the annual South-South Awards ceremony. On Sunday, Prime Minister Brown will attend the UN Gender meeting and hold bilateral discussions with the Prime Ministers of Thailand, Mauritius, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Presidents of Kenya, and the Director General of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, Lee Young. This is Aisha Caleb reporting for ABS News.
Venezuela and Guyana have agreed to send their respective ambassadors back to their diplomatic missions after they were recalled during the ongoing dispute between the two countries over the Essequibo region.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and Guyanese Head of State David Granger met in New York in the framework of the 70th Assembly General of the United Nations. The meeting was mediated by Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Ban confirmed that the UN will send a technical committee to Venezuela in the coming days to assess its claim to the Essequibo region. The commission is being sent under the Geneva Agreement, and it will also set a deadline for resolving the conflict through regular channels.
The Secretary General has committed to, following that visit, study all the options given by the Geneva Agreement and Article 33 of the UN Charter. Venezuela has insisted in stimulating all the good officers, which is the last consensus decision between Guyana, Venezuela, the Geneva Agreement and the Secretary General, to set a time limit and the good officers along with the good political and diplomatic channels for a final resolution.
Internationally, Russia's President Vladimir Putin emerged from a rare face-to-face meeting with U.S. President Barack Obama on Monday night, saying Russia and the U.S. could find a way to work together on Syria, despite deep differences over the country's leadership.
Vladimir Putin emerged from a rare face-to-face meeting with Barack Obama on Monday night, saying Russia and the U.S. could find a way to work together on Syria, despite deep differences over the country's leadership. The U.S.-Russian summit lasted 94 minutes, more than half an hour longer than planned, on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, where the two leaders had traded barbs only hours before, particularly over the future of the Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad. Speaking to Russian journalists after the meeting, Putin said the two had found at least some common ground on the four-year conflict. The Russian leader described the conversation with Obama as very constructive, businesslike, and very frank.
Typhoon Dujuan has begun to disintegrate over eastern China after unleashing its full force on the neighboring island of Taiwan. At least 2 people were killed and more than 300 injured as the typhoon tore across central Taiwan on Monday night.
Facing the wrath of Typhoon Dujuan, China has ordered tens of thousands of boats back to shore and closed tourist attractions as it faces a battering from the storm that made landfall early today. With maximum wind speeds said to have reached 120 kilometers an hour, the gales and towering waves may look dramatic, but Dujuan has been weakening as it passes through the southeastern Chinese province of Fujian. On Monday, it was more powerful as it unleashed its fury on Taiwan with devastating results. Amid the chaos of uprooted trees, road accidents and mudslides triggered by torrential rain, at least 3 people were reported dead and more than 300 others injured. At one point, almost 2 million homes lost electricity.
Taking a look at the weather. Temperatures have dropped a bit today to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are from the east today and will be from the east-southeast tonight at less than 9 miles per hour. Meanwhile, seas are moderate with heights around 5 feet. In the weather summary, today we will see partly sunny conditions with a 20% chance of showers. Tonight will be mostly clear with a 10% chance of showers. Sunrise for tomorrow is expected at 6:01 a.m., but that's not before today's sunset at 6:01 p.m. That brings us to the end of ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Join us this evening when we'll have the details to these stories and more in our major news presentation. I have been your presenter, JD Gaines. Have a great afternoon.